So before this episode starts, if you do enjoy the Legged podcast and you do want to support us for just £1 a week, you can on Patreon. And with doing so, you get early access to all our episodes and an extra weekly episode of me and Jordan just chewing the fat. Thanks for the support. Nice one.
The Legged podcast is sponsored by Montrex. Montrex is a cutting-edge sportswear brand empowering athletes across the world, built to enhance performance and give you confidence to go the extra mile. They've got some of the most incredible products at montrex.com. There is a link below this video. Click the link and at checkout, enter the code LEGIT for 15% off your order. That's LEGIT, all one word. Everything from jackets, cargo pants, gym tops, t-shirts, running jackets, running pants. Everything is on their website, and they sponsor some of the most incredible athletes. Everything from UFC fighter Leon Edwards and a good friend of the podcast, boxer Jazza Dickens. So click the link below, use the code LEGIT at checkout for 15% off your order.
Right, welcome to the Legged podcast. It's me, Jordan Neal.
Did you get your name then?
Yeah, let me start again actually. Sorry about that.
It's me, Andy Grant, and this week's guest is Kate Stewart.
Hello.
All right.
Great start for me, that.
Oh, so good.
First off, massive thanks to our sponsors, Montrex. You get 15% off if you type in Legged at checkout, and also Veer Clothing. You type in Legged20 for 20% off them. All the links are in the bio. Right, I'm excited.
I am excited for this. It's going to be good.
It's going to be really good. First and foremost, though, and obviously I think we'll go back to the kind of start, but while you're here as well, one thing you are passionate about, which you're kind of launching hopefully in the next few weeks, couple of months.
Well, all being well.
All being well, is the Sisterhood HQ.
Yeah, so it's really important to me to help other women and to reach down and say, come on, you know what, you can do it. I was probably the little OG of women in this city who broke through and in a man's world, do you know what I mean? So I've done all the struggle and everything else, and I want other ambitious women to come together, and I want to eradicate jealousy between women. We're all on the same team, there's enough to go around, let's support each other, let's help each other, and let's do great things.
I think it's so important, isn't it? Because as you say rightly there, you know, we've lived for so long in this like man's world, so to speak. But like for women, for men, it's easy to look up. We've spoke to footy players and stuff, women footy players, about this. We have so many idols and stuff. For women, it's for a long time it's been very sort of, you know, slim pickings who you can look at because women haven't been allowed to get to where they...
Do you know what I think as well? I've looked at this, and young girls aspire to be footballers' wives, or they get these influencers on there. You know, well, I want to be a model, or I want to go with a footballer. It's like, no, doll, that's not an ambition. That's you're not doing it for yourself. Do you know what I mean? There's so much more that you can do. CEOs, you can do anything that you want to do. Do you know what I mean? As long as you've got the motivation, the drive, and you get out of bed and do it.
Have you found then, Kate, what you're saying there about like the jealousy and stuff? Have you found I think everyone's probably experienced it in some sort of life, but especially in women's business, people just trying to pull you down and stuff. Is it worse in that kind of women's industry?
It's worse from men.
I was about to say that.
It's horrific, Andy. I mean, years ago, so I had the Heritage market, and that was totally male dominated. All the market traders, and so there'd be a story in the Echo, and I mean, I got leathered. And I mean leathered. I'm a rat who climbs up drain pipes. I live off men. I launder drugs money. I mean, absolute bullshit where you just think, what is even wrong with you? Why would you even say that? So if we go back years and years and years ago, I'm from a council estate. I had nothing. And I grew up with people who didn't have any aspirations. No one went to uni, no one went to college. You were lucky if you got a job in McDonald's, do you know what I mean? And so I associated with people who were probably into criminality. It was just the area that you're from, and to this day it still gets brought up. It's like I was about 18 and people still bring stories up from like, well, she goes with such... Clearly I don't. I launder money for drug dealers. Well, again, clearly I don't, because I've had a massive tax investigation. Believe me, I've been gone through with a fine tooth comb, and I've got no skeletons in the closet. So
I think everyone in Liverpool, though, if you went back to everyone's childhood, everyone probably knocked around with people who've done stuff wrong.
Well, even now, you're like, I made a pact years ago that I wasn't reading any comments. I mean, there was some on the Daily Mail. I'd done a show with me. I'd just had the twins, and someone had gone on and said that my kids were ugly. They were vile. And do you know what? I was sobbing. Do you know what I mean? I was like, do you know, these are brand new babies. What kind of person goes on and says that, you know, they look disabled and all this? And I just said, after that, I thought, I'm never reading the comments again. And my mother's terrible for it. She knows I don't read them, and she rings me, have you seen what they're saying about you? I went, Mum, I've told her. Oh, well, and she can't help it. She's got Tourette's. She's got to get it out, do you know what I mean? Yeah, but I don't read it no more because not one person has ever come up to my face and said one thing. Do you know what I mean? So it shows what kind of person you are. I'd respect someone if they said, do you know what, Kate, blah, blah, blah. I'd say, all right, fair enough, do you know what, we all have our own views or whatever. But they don't. They're all sitting there typing away. But no, if they channel that energy into something positive, then they probably do all right for themselves instead of sitting trolling people.
I think that's a reoccurring conversation everyone's having, like the social media world that we live in. You know, faceless people can say whatever they want to you. Basically, can jump into your living room and just give you loads, like through the power of a phone, which is mental in itself. But as a woman, I think it's as you say, men trying to pull you down.
Oh, it's well aware of men. I mean, you get women who come on and like try. Here's one. So I can't remember what story it was or what I'd done or whatever, but there was a thing on the Liverpool Echo, and my daughter, I think she was about 15, 16, someone was ripping me. So being a child, she's gone on and gone, don't talk about my mother like that. This is on my kids' lives. They offered to meet her, to batter her outside Lime Street Station. They're like, I'm going to smash your head in. And I was like, wow, what is wrong with you? So I've learned here as well, like, you know, you don't read things. You don't read what other people have got to say because it doesn't benefit me.
I think the sad thing about that is it's now a consequence of improving your life, isn't it? Like if you improve your life or you get to, you know, a bit of success, whatever that might mean to each individual, it's almost like it's accepted that, you know, people are now allowed to just
give you
like you become public property, but that's not
it's like if he's a footballer and he's famous, so we're allowed to have a pop at him now. Or if she's a millionaire or he's doing this, it's alright if we have a go.
But it's resentful. That's what it all boils down to. It's like if they're saying, wow, how's she done that? She hasn't done that herself. They don't want to believe that you've done it yourself. Do you know what I mean? They want to believe that you launder money, or they want to believe that you don't pay tax, or they want to believe that you haven't done it yourself. Do you know what I mean? Because they mustn't be happy in their own lives, because I'm happy in my life and I would never ever think I'd rather help someone, do you know what I mean, than start giving someone shit. It's like, wow.
It's definitely different for male and female in that sense, because, you know, if a male goes, you know, just talk for the business world, for example, if a male goes and, you know, starts a successful business, everyone wants to give them plaudits in the most cases, but then a woman does it and it's like, well, hang on a minute,
how's she done that?
How did she get there? Or, you know, something's got to be amiss or a bit. And I think that's probably the world we live in, which
I think as well, when you put yourself out there, you've got to understand that people are going to have a pop up, and you've got to have a coping mechanism as well. Of just like, well, I'm not reading them. I'm being quite honest and say, I don't give a shit what you think about me. You don't pay my bills. You're not going to knock at my door and say to me, Kate, have you got bread and milk for the kids? No one's asked. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not asked about you. And that's the mentality.
Was that kind of envy? Have you kind of found that's happened later on in life, or did you notice it from the start?
From the very, very, very beginning to this day. So it was the big story in the press that the Sandon was up for sale. My PR company has to ring and get the comments turned off in the Echo, because it's just like, they hate you. They absolutely hate the fact that you're doing something, or, you know, that I bought the Sandon and it went doing nothing, and I put the hotel on it. Blood, sweat and tears, do you know what I mean? And it's all been my own money that I've invested into it. I haven't gone to the banks and gone, well, I've got a small mortgage on it, but I haven't gone to the bank for the reinvestment. I've used my own money. I put my money where my mouth is. I deserve that. I deserve that uplift in value because I worked for it. I done it. I didn't ask anyone to do it. So that...
what are some of the comments of what?
It's just like, she's all that money she's laundered for all the drug dealers, she's made them a good profit, and it's just like, what are you on about? Weirdos, you fucking weird people.
Obviously now, obviously the Sandon something we'll come on to, but if you go right back to the start, like where did the business...
Okay, so I always wanted more, do you know what I mean, than what my family could give me. I wanted nice clothes and I seen everyone. Like,
Just from like teenage years?
Yeah, teenage years. So, you know, I stayed with my nan and granddad a lot of the time. And I wanted to go to Wadesmith. I wanted to go and get all nice clobber and it'd be on like a special. I remember my granddad taking me to Wadesmith and buying me a Reebok jumper and I thought I'd won the lottery. Do you know what I mean? So I've always had a good work ethic. So from when I was 14, I worked on a burger van in Matthew Street. So I was still at school and I'd go and work on this burger van till like 3 o'clock in the morning. And then it dried onions as well. You just have to pour them in the boiling water. I absolutely stunk. I'd go home, get a wash and that, and I'd have to, my mum would make me go to school. So she'd drop me off outside school, Ollie Lodge on Queen's Drive. She'd drop me there, I'd run through, jump over the back wall and get off. Do you know what I mean? I just didn't like it. I just think that putting people in a room and dictating to them about algebra and a big load of bullshit that I'm never going to use in life is the way to educate children. It's just not. And I'll touch on that later because I went back to school actually. So yeah, I worked on this burger van and I just loved having money. And then at 14, even a BBC come along and they wanted to do a programme about it called Grafters. So because I was 14, I weren't supposed to work because I didn't have national insurance number, so I had to blag them I was 16. So takes them the venue with me. Living my best life, right? The next week, the fella who owned the venue, get here, you're bored, you've nearly had your licence to come. I was like, oh God. So I got barred from the venue for it, I got through out of school for it and everything. I was so what? So yeah, we done this programme, and at the time, this is like the 90s, so I can't even work it out, but it was like mid-90s. So it was really the first reality programme that they'd done about Liverpool. Up, raw. There was phone-ins on Radio Merseyside, right? Me mum was like, one of my mum's neighbours ends up ringing saying she's really a nice girl and all this. So like my mum was like, someone could ring up and say she's all right now, this is too bad. Yeah, so I did always want to work. So instead of going to school, I had a job in the Adelphi as a chambermaid.
Is this again at like 14, 15, 16?
Yeah, 15 we used to have to be in for like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Had you stopped school at this point or was you still...
Oh yeah, I just gypped it.
Yeah.
There was just no point in, because Mary Tom was like, my mum by the way, Mary Tom was getting letters through and she was like, well, I take it, what more can I do? And in them days they weren't that asked, to be honest. They were just like, oh, she doesn't want to go, fine. I think the school just wanted rid of me because I was bored. I'd be disruptive, do you know what I mean? Not that I wasn't clever, it was just, they bored me. Why do I want to go and learn about RE? It's like,
we speak about this all the time, about schools, just, it needs to change.
It's not going to get me in my life, so I'd just be sitting in the bushes smoking ciggies and getting leggers off the teachers and that. So in the end, I think they just thought, like, leg it. So yeah, I went and worked in the Adelphi. I got sacked. I worked in the Dolby Hotel for one day. I got sacked. I worked in the sweet factory in Kenny. This. So I've always like been a bit of a love myself, one of them, right? So we go to this factory for the day, and he goes in and he goes, right, okay, put your hairnet on now. I was like, what? You're like, put this hairnet on. It's a long white coat to the floor, and this hairnet, and it was just full of all lads from by ours. So I'm not wearing that. They went, oh no, you are. So I've tried to leg it and jump over the back wall to get out, right? Because I'm not doing it. Drag me back in. Drag me back in and made me stay. I have no way you want to die at that time. I'm standing in this long white coat, this hairnet on, everyone's roaring off me. So yeah, I've always got off me backside and gone out and worked. I worked in a sports shop on Church Street. Everywhere I've gone though, I have a full ball, you know, like I do have a ball. I worked on a sports shop on Churches, it was called First Four, right, and the manager was called Eddie. Every day we'd go in, he'd put his Fleetwood Mac tape on, so he was in the office. I got his Fleetwood Mac tape and smashed it and put it in the thing he sacked me. I've been legged from so many things. And then I got pregnant at 17. And it was just like, I think everyone thought that's it now, she's wrote off, do you know what I mean? She's got a baby, she's going to claim benefit. So when I was with him at like 16, I was getting all this designer stuff and I was living the best life. I mean, we used to drive around in cars and not one of us had insurance. We used to go to a fella called Jerry One Arm. I thought on him. I got cover out. You're like, right, Jerry, get a cover out. And you just go...
Jerry wanna. That's unbelievable.
A £15 cover out and go and produce. Do you know what I mean? So we were driving around in like BMWs, and I think some of them must have been ringers as well. They had to be, and living the best life, do you know what I mean? And then had the baby and everything, and we split up, and that was the moment I realised that you can be in a relationship with someone and they can give you everything, but when it's over, it all gets taken off you. Everything that you've got is only ever on loan to you. And at that point I made a decision that, oh, no one's going to give me and take it off me, because everyone was made up. Everyone in the area was made up to see me on my ass, do you know what I mean? To see me have the car took off me in the next minute, and on the bus with the baby, with the pram and everything else, do you know what I mean? And you could see the delight, everyone roaring off, amazing, I've got to come up, and probably I did need booting down a little peg or two, to be honest, because you do get caught up in it. I was only a kid. So yeah, I got brought down a right peg or two, dog. He had absolutely not, me and the baby, and I was just like, well, do you know what? I'm not gonna, and then that's where my passion comes then, because I think I'm not letting no one roar off me. I'm not gonna let people buzz off me thinking that I've got nothing. Watch this now. And that was the fuel in my belly to go.
It's funny, innit? So you've always had, from me, you said, that kind of work and attitude of wanting better things and not scared to put a graft in by what you've done up until then. So you've kind of know what you're about, but then it's took something like that to think, actually, you know what, it's just, I need to change direction a bit here, and absolutely, I'm fucking gonna make it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that though, like changing direction. Obviously it happened to you as a young age, but I think people in general need to get like comfortable with that idea that, you know, if something's not, whether it be a relationship, a job, or whatever it may be, changing direction sometimes is a scary thing. Absolutely. But it's also a very, it can also be, you know, the making of you.
But you've got to do it. I'm just about to do that now. I'm selling like most of my businesses and embarking on a whole new journey, and that's the thing that you've got to do as an entrepreneur. You've got to just change direction. When something's thrown at you, catch it or throw it back out. That's it's all about changing. You're constantly evolving. Do you know what I mean?
On that thing of change though, again, that's what you're saying there about some of the hate and the trolls and that, what you kind of want to distance yourself away from and stuff, but that's what people don't want to see, is it? People don't want to see when successful people do pivot and change. People just don't really want to acknowledge that.
No, because they don't want to change. They are happy with their life set in a way that they know that, you know, really it's the liberty taken away. You go to work at 9 o'clock in the morning and you finish at 5, and you do this and you do that, and you know the government say to you, you wear a mask, so they get their mask on all the time, and then they're in the queue for their vaccines, and you know if Boris said something, then Boris is right. It's like, no, Boris is a gobshite. He doesn't know what he's doing and hasn't got a clue. So that's why they don't like it, because they think, well, how can you just, they want to be that, they want to have that life, they want to be able to change, and they just can't. And the worst people I have ever met in my living life for this was the market traders in the heritage market. They were full dinosaurs. They would not, they'd stamp their feet. I'm not doing it, you've got no chance. It's like, well, you're not going to have a business then, mate. You know, because when they first started out, there was no Sunday shopping. So they had it all. They had the monopoly on people going, and times change. Things were going online, so we were saying, you know, we're going to set a website up and each one of you will have your own shop. I'm not doing that. No. It's like, well, why aren't you doing it? I don't want to. I was like, well, give me a reason why you don't want to. You haven't even got to do anything on digital to you. No. I was like, oh, fuck off. In the end, and you just give up. You think, why am I trying to make your business better, and why am I trying to make you evolve when you don't want to, if that's the case? So in the end, I just was a cocky bitch in the end. I say, alright, then we'll get your stuff and fuck off. Do you know what I mean? And that's what you have to do. That was probably the hard. So
when was that? So I'm just trying to pick, so when you kind of have the baby, you split up with your fella, at what point then, how many months are you kind of going through this kind of, fucking hell, I need to...
For about, I remember having to like go over to my nan. I'm lucky with my family as well. You say I've got a big family, and I was a bit of a spoiled cow by them. My mum had me when she was young, and she went home with me, do you know what I mean? She didn't have a partner or nothing. So I got brought up in the house with my nan, my granddad. My nan's dad lives in the front room, and then in the big bedroom there was me, my mum and her 3 sisters. Do you know what I mean? One of them where you're like in the bed and face up, best friends.
That's boss that though, I think.
Yeah.
Old school, isn't it? Like old school of like. So
I was lucky in the fact that like
had a strong family around you.
I could say like they helped me loads, do you know what I mean? And then when I did want to do something, I wanted to go and train as a beautician, so everyone split the baby between them. Nowadays, I can't even get my kids minded for 10 minutes, but you know, back in the day, everyone was volunteering. So yeah, I had that ability to like, that support network, and that was massive, do you know what I mean? Because looking at people now, this is what I'm trying to do with Sisterhood HQ, give people that support, because without that, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. So when I was working in sunbeds, and I was still pulling people's pubes out at 10 o'clock in the night with wax because I wanted money, do you know what I mean? And somebody would ring up and like, can I have like wax at 10 o'clock? I'd be like, yeah, all right, do you know what I mean? It was just like, you do what you've got to do. And then one of my mates worked in the carvery on Queen's Drive, and this fella had come up from London, and he was staying in the little travel lodge hotel next to it. And he's like, oh, I own Camden Market, I'm doing this thing. So we were all getting into them. We were like, give us a job. He was like, no. I was like, well, no, to quote, he said, no, you fat, ugly fucking midget. I was like, oh, that's a bit harsh. And he wouldn't give me a job. So he goes to me one day, he was a full fucking crank, by the way. He went, oh, do you know what you can do? You can go and be the fucking elf in the grotto. So I had to go and fucking dress as an elf in the Heritage Market, absolutely freezing. Standing next to Santa. People were like, are you going to smile? I was like, no, fucking not. But back in the day, he was giving us 60 quid in our hand to do it. So I was like, oh, cracker. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I got in the Heritage Market, as a fucking elf.
When is an elf and then own the place?
Santa. Yes, I started with elf and now I own it.
Bloody hell. That in itself, though, like that work ethic to just be like, listen, I just need to get my foot in the door.
Absolutely. Anything. You can't, sometimes you progress out the door. It's like, I know I'll get in the door here because I'll get in there. Do you know what I mean? So in the end, me mate was going with him, I think. Me mate was going with him. Yeah. She was like in the office and that. I was like, just fucking get me in the office. And so,
get me out this elf costume.
She really wanted me to anyway, but anyway. Fucking wear me way in, didn't I? And I just started answering the phones and stuff. But he was a full-blown alcoholic. Oh, it was like, some of the fucking stories, like, hilarious. He was a full-blown alkie, but he had like, he was using other people's money from London, right? It was these Jewish investors, and they were like that Philip Green and that. They were just fucking throwing money at it because he was selling them the dream that this was going to be the Camden of the North and blah blah blah. So we was driving around in him, like fucking, what are they called, Aston Martins and that, right? So while he was in hospital, I used to take his car, right? So I'm like, at 20, pulling up at Society and that, and Aston Martin. Everyone was thinking, where the fuck is she coming from? And then in the private bit in exactly Aussie, and I'm in his car. He's like, Katie, go and get me a packet of cigars. So, I'm a fucking cow. So he thought I'd go to him, yeah, your cigars cost 35 quid. And they were like, say, fucking tenner, and I'd slot to 25 quid. So I goes out in his car. So I didn't see it. You know, that like a middle bit, only fucking stuck the Aston Martin on the fucking middle of the like the central reservation, so no wheels were touching the car, and the window was there. I was like, shit, what are we going to do? So I had to get all my cousins round, and they had to jump on the car. We had to get stuff underneath. Oh god.
Aston Martin as well.
Yeah, honestly, the car was fucked underneath. I was like, oh, we can't see it. It's underneath. I'll just blame him. And then another time he sent someone else to get his cigars. He was like, yeah, there's the 35 quid for my cigars. The little grasses come back. They're only a tenner. Can't charging me 35 quid. I was like, well, you've got to pay me for going. Yeah, so he was at Alki anyway. So while he wasn't there, I was running in anyway. And then, you know, it all come out that he was fucking just ciphering all the money and everything else. And I had to go down to London, to Belgravia, and sit with these people. So I'm 5 foot. I was fucking talk like this, big massive boobs going down. They just like looked at me as if to say, what the fuck are you? And I just thought, you could just tell, when you can read people's faces, can't you? You know what they're thinking. They just were just not interested. And I'd done like a business plan, and when I started doing the presentation, the one thing I learned is you pay to people's greed. Do you know what I mean? And as I'm doing figures and projections and everything else, you can see them like stop what they're doing and paying attention to you, do you know what I mean? Where they must have thought, oh, actually, she does know what she's saying. And I walked out of there at 24 with the contract with the Heritage Market. And And I don't think I appreciated it at the time. It was just like, because it was so full on. So I've got the Heritage marker and I'm like, oh God, it's mine, yay! Fucking full of counterfeit. So the Liverpool one was getting built. And all the designers, they were trying to attract the designers into the city. And they didn't, so they give Trading Standard loads of money to eradicate the counterfeit. Now the hub of it was the Heritage market. So they come in and said, now, some of the traders on there, right, this is no lie. How many years is this? Like 15 years ago. They'd open up at 9 o'clock and by 9:15 they took 20 grand.
Yeah.
They weren't giving that up. There was more money in that than there was in drugs. But they were manufacturing and everything. They all had it. Don't get me wrong, they're all good lads. And, you know, they're not really fucking hitting anyone, are they? Copying a few DVDs. I don't think Warner Brothers are going to notice whether someone's selling them in the Heritage. But that's another story. So it's illegal. So they come to me and said, unless you get them off, we're going to do you with money laundering because you're taking the rent off them and it's a proceeds of crime and you're doing it. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I had to go and stand on the gate. I was like, you're not getting on? They were like, oh no, we are. Because that kind of money, mate, they're not bothered. They were like, listen, we'll fucking burn your house down. Watch what happens to you. I was like, well, I don't really give a fuck. Number one, if you're telling me you're going to do it, then I know where it's coming from. If you weren't telling me, then I'd worry, but fuck off, you're not getting on. That's simple, you're not doing it. We get raided every week. It was funny, like, I'd be watching on the cameras and they'd be locking the Trading Standards now in the cellars. It was just like, it was just bizarre. So every week I'd have to go out and say, you're not getting on.
Is that your first kind of experience in business of like management?
Absolutely.
Did none of it ever like, not daunt you, but never get to a point where you're like, do you know what, like this is just too much?
I enjoyed it, I'm not going to lie, I enjoyed it. So I'd work 48 hours straight and I'd love every minute of it. It was like, it was never going to work, it was never ever going to work. It was, I enjoyed it, and that's where I know that when I don't enjoy something anymore, that I've got to get out, because I had to go away and wait to get back because I loved it that much. So we started doing things like ghost hunt, right? We done ghost hunt, so when in the war, the Heritage Market, the cellars were used as the morgue for the American Army because the American Army used that as their base. So there's pictures of Roosevelt's wife going around in a jeep in there because that was the American base. So the ghost hunters loved it. So me, fucking evil ass, used to hide in the cellar when the ghost hunter used to throw things at them. So it was a full ball. Then I opened the dock back up, didn't I? And then, so here's another bizarre story that I had to do. So it was the nightclub up and we were smashing it. I mean, absolutely smashing it. We were going to Asda getting the ale, pennies, and knocking it out at like stupid prices, but everyone loved it. It was like going back to warehouse raves. And the doormen were on there and we were looked at, do you know what I mean, by the police, but they knew I did control it. And one night some lads in there, and this is one of the bizarre ones where I look back now and think, how the fuck did you do that? So lads are arguing, the next thing someone pulls a gun in the middle of the yard dock. So I calmly went over to him and said to him, come here, give me that gun please. I am better with that. You don't want to do that, do you? I've got a gun in my hand. And I walked downstairs with the gun. I said, okay, you can have it back when you're going. And now I just look back and think,
yeah,
I don't even know what happened to it. I was just like, get that away from me! Just like the most bizarre situations. And then the next minute I've got, I've done it as a film location. So the next minute I'm taking guns off someone, and then the next day Jude Law's in my office, and Captain America, what's his name? The Captain America bloke anyway.
Oh, Liam, what's that?
Liam, no worse than me.
Chris.
Yeah, he's like walking past my office. It was just so fucking bizarre. Do you know what I mean? It was just that madness. And so I'd do the market of a Sunday, then we'd be opening the nightclub, and then we'd have a film on the next day. Do you know what I mean? It was just boom, 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 boom.
So did you have the lease for the whole of all that then, to do kind of what you pleased with it?
Everything, yeah. Just do whatever I wanted with it.
How did it work with the kind of the trading stands and stuff? How did the agreement kind of work with the people were selling and stuff like that?
So do you know what? Back in the day, the head of trading standards, I had a really good relationship with him in the end, because I was like, look, there's legitimate businesses on here that do want to survive. Do you know what I mean? And it was allies on them. They were wanted to earn an honest living, and these people were stopping them, because if you're driving past somewhere and there's just police vans everywhere and it's getting raided, you're not going to go in, because I wouldn't take my kids into there now.
The Heritage was boss back in the day.
Yeah, it was.
I used to love it.
I know. I don't miss it, terrible. But
I definitely had a few black trackies, like.
Yeah.
I put a comment on mine the other day, the footage come out of this video, and I've got this black T&G top on, and it was from the Heritage, and I thought, if only I fucking knew then. With my black top on at 14, I'd end up owning the fucking gap.
That is some story, that though, like, do you know what I mean? That's about
just persistence, that's great, I think, because, like, obviously, you know, no, we are only talking 15 years or so ago, but obviously it was a different world to that we're living in now. But your ability to, like, you know, see something and just roll with it. I think loads of other people would register things, you know what I mean? Like, as like what I said to you before about, did you ever think this is too much? But, like, most normal people, It's
about not being asked. People let the fear guide them. Yeah. So it's like, oh, no, I'm not doing that, it might work. So what if it doesn't? You didn't try. Do you know what I mean? Some of my best lessons have come from failure. I fail all the time now. Do you know what I mean? I'm 40 years of age, I'm a mother of 4, and I fail. Do you know what I mean? But that's okay. Do you know what? Now if I come away and I've learned something from it, then it's not a failure. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was about not being scared. Not being scared to say, do you know what, I'll try that. I try things now and it fails, but so what? At least I had to go.
I think going from knowing what you've known, you know, it just being a Sunday market, to then, like, say, having a club there, then to having, you know, bringing films to the city and stuff. I mean, that's almost like beyond your years, really, isn't it? Because I guess no one's even thinking of that beforehand, have they? Like you say, the dinosaurs that were around. What made you think, let's get a club, let's try and bring something into the city? Where did that come from?
So we were looking at what I'd done with that is we had like small commercials coming in wanting to use, like, it was like a rustic background and stuff like that. So we had like small little productions coming in. So I done like a show tape and sent it out to like all the big production companies, invited them in. I'd done an open day saying, you know, this with the like the scouts, the location managers they're called. I invited them all in and said, you know, come down, have a look at what we've got. We've got extensive space, it's all yours. And it was bringing, when they did come, it was bringing millions into the city, because the crew were booking out all of the hotels. It wasn't just beneficial to the Heritage. It was beneficial to everyone, local, and I only employed local people. I was passionate about that. And I've always been passionate about helping people as well, because I know what it's like to have the door shut in your face and for people not to believe in you. I've had it done to me so many times. So young lads from Kirkdale who've been on the wrong side of the law, but you know what, they want to have a little go, so I give them jobs on security. Say, lad, no, if you let me down, honestly, you're finished. And they were always my best workers, because they were loyal, because you give them that opportunity.
And no one's ever given them before.
Yeah. And I look at some of the businesses that I done a big thing down there as well, like all small businesses, I'd mentor them and I'd give them free space, because I was passionate as well about getting new people to start their own businesses. And it was so easy with the market as well, because you didn't have any rent, you didn't have any rates, or do you know what I mean? You didn't have to sign into a lease, you didn't have any rates, so it was quite risk free. Do you know what I mean? And some of them have gone on to have like big companies and shops in London, and I still get the odd message off them and stuff. So it's nice to know that we made a difference as well to people.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, you made a lot of, like, you know, saying that way you sent it out to production companies and that's like a really smart, before your time sort of move. And I know you say like, oh, you know, I just fell into this and I fell into that, but you were making like really
strong moves,
forward-thinking business moves from like a, you know, what was you, 24, 25?
24, yeah.
That's still like a youngish age, but you were making moves to...
Yeah, but it was uneducated as well, so it wasn't as if I'd gone to school. I never got one fucking GCSE. I've got no education. I just got my street knowledge, do you know what I mean? So I think that was where the big difference was, because if you're going to business school and everything else, you'd be taught that, and I weren't. Do you know what I mean?
Did you kind of seek out like a mentor, a business mentor at that time? Was the people kind of who, I know you said like looking up, there was no kind of real female business role models. Did you find to come into contact with any?
No, I had a fella who he originally had a rug stall on the Heritage, and Frank Tuff, who was the previous owner, who call me a fat ugly midget. He got him working in the office, and he kind of helped me a lot, and then he ended up working for me as my business manager. He's like old and shut up, you moaning ballsy bastard, but he's just like got me best interest at heart. And Catherine, stop it! And it's just, yeah, he's just been great. John Connolly has been amazing for me. He's really helped me. He keeps me on my toes.
Do you find that, like, with owning businesses, you're as strong as your relationship, so to speak? Because I guess when you're an entrepreneur, it must be easy to think, no, I can do everything, like, you know, this is mine. But I guess there's got to be a point where you've got to start bringing people in.
Absolutely not. I don't think like that whatsoever. I can have ideas, but I can't make them happen. So that is one of the things I can say with that is Vitality Homes. I had this idea because I knew, you see, so the kids' dad, he'd suffered with drug addiction, and there was just no way. So people are going into rehab, right, and then they come home and they go back into the situation that made them want to take drugs in the first place, and the drug dealers are on them and they're texting them. There was a massive gap and there's no help. So I knew that was needed, like intensive therapy and intense support from coming out of rehab and getting some abstinence under your belt, because that's the most important time. It's all right trying people out, but then keep them occupied. So I knew that I needed to do this, and everyone was against it again. So when someone's against something, that just drives me even more, because I said, no, I'm doing it, no, that's it. So they had placards out saying burn in hell, I hope you die. It was all in the Echo.
Who's this?
This is the residents of Wave, like not all of them obviously, some of the residents of Wavertree, because that's
because of the location.
Our first centre was. They smashed it up. 500 of them turned up at planning, and I couldn't go because they were like, John had said to me, don't go, I'll go to planning, because it'll be too contentious.
Is that just because they don't want, like,
they didn't want it there? So someone had gone round and said it was for paedophiles and blah 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 and everything else. They didn't want addicts on their doorstep, and you know, they just had this vision that addicts are like, you know,
scum of the earth, and
scum of the earth, and clearly not the case. I was addicted to nicotine for years. We're all addicted to something. We've got addictive personalities. So a solicitor, we've had people in Vitality of, you know, lawyers and everything, and you know, just this hard times. So they had this, I wanted to, you know, change the vision on that. So I was saying, no, I'm doing it. And I had to fight tooth and nail, and it cost me a fortune to do. But I knew that we had to change people's perception and give people a second chance, even a third and fourth chance as well. You know, as long as you want to, you can know that true saying, you take the horse to water, but you can't make it drink it. If someone wants to drink that water and go into it, let them keep fucking drinking. All right, we all might have a stumble, but as long as you want to be helped, you can be helped. So anyway, yeah, so there was petitions, they didn't want it there. And then when I knew I couldn't deliver the support, so I headhunted a woman called Jackie Johnson Lynch. She'd had awards off the Queen and everything for what she does, and I went and headhunted her because I can't do it. I've got this idea or whatever, but I physically can't do it. It's like, I'm not an events manager in the sense, and I can't manage the events. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm all about bringing people in, and I'm all about teamwork. I don't ever have that I'm a boss neither. So do you know, if I go in the hotel and the girls will be out the wall, I throw my coat off and fucking get on the beds and clean the toilets and everything else. I'm a team player. We're all in a team. I'm not your boss, and you, do you know what I mean? Like, they tell me to fuck off and everything. I guess, your shit, are you going to make a cup of tea? I'm like, oh God, I finished, come in, stop picking on me. I don't like that. Oh no, when you come in everyone goes quiet. It's not like that. I like the girls to feel empowered, and we all sit around the table and say, right, come on, ideas, how are we going to make this business better? So it's dead funny. This is one of my favourites, this. So when I bought the Heritage, when I bought the Sandon, the cleaners weren't allowed to go in the office. They weren't allowed even to step in there. And I was like, okay, and these are all older ladies, and they've been there for years, and they're the cornerstone to the business. They're the most loyal, hard-working people that you've ever met in your life. They've got the best interest of the business. And there's this, me Bernie, she had no confidence whatsoever. None. She didn't like, you know, she was dead timid, like, oh no, she didn't even like look at me or whatever. And now she runs the hospitality for LFC.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'd say to her, no, she's like, I'm not doing that. No, Bernie, you're doing it. Get in there, you're fucking doing it. And now she's like, hello, welcome to the Sandon. And she's so confident. She goes, oh, I love you. But it's just nice to see people
empowering
themselves
people
and saying, oh no, you're doing it, I can't. No, you can. Get in there, and kicking them out and just and making them do it. So
I think empowering's probably like it's perfect word, and I know like obviously you use it with the Sisterhood HQ, but it's like stuff like that. I guess that's a bigger win than most of the businesses that you've ran and made a success.
Any monetary value, you can't buy that. Seeing her coming in and like she's got her shirt on. Hello, welcome to the Sundon, and she's dealing with the footy players, like all the legends and stuff. That I can't buy that. Do you know what I mean? And I think as I've got older as well, do you know what? I couldn't really give a fuck anymore. Money's not everything. Do you know what I mean? As long as I pay me bills and my kids have got food in their belly. Like I still live in quite a. Years ago, when I was a bit of a knob, when I was about 25, I went and got this fucking big house in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a field, and it had about fucking 40 bedrooms and all that shit, do you know what I mean? I was that scared, I wouldn't go downstairs to get a drink of a night, because I was terrified, because it was pitch black, it was in the middle of a field, and I was terrified of getting robbed. I'd literally be, and I thought, what are you even doing, you bad ming? What are you even doing it for? I live in a house now, and I've got lovely neighbours. Like, I've just been away, my neighbour every day went round my back, checked all my back, and do you know, I was like, it's like in a community. I'm sick. I did for years, like, I'd be in designer shops spending Brewsters on clothes, and what for? They're all in the fucking bin now. Do you know what I mean?
I'm so glad it's someone your success to say that is just like,
I think it's an
perfect for people to hear. I think
it's an important lesson as well for people who want to get into business, because you know, people will get into business because they see money, and they see,
for their own reasons,
and they you know, they say I want to have a business because I want money. But at the end of the day, if your only sole focus is the amount of money, you can't get there.
I never focus on the money, and this is a true thing. I do it really for a passion as well. And do you know what I've found? Because I don't focus on the money, it always comes. Do you know what I mean? Because that isn't my first drive. Years ago, don't get me wrong, I was a shallow, fucking selfish bitch years ago. Like, all this and thinking I was on one in bars buying bottles of champagne, like a full knob, where now I want to go back and punch myself in the face, thinking you're absolute dickheads. But now I couldn't give a fuck. Like, Christmas clothes, I've done this as well, kids in like fucking £400 trackies and all that. I went and bought them £30 Glamourfy trackies, and they look exactly the same in them. Do you know what I mean? I'm just not doing it anymore. I'd rather go and give the money to the Women's Refuge, or what I'll do is, so I'll have like ring fence money. That's what it would normally cost me. So instead of doing that now, I'll donate it to somewhere. Do you know what I mean? And try and help people. Or the one thing I can say to people is, so you know, we go out. If you go out and you buy 3 handbags and they're £5,000 each, that's 15 grand. Right? You're never going to get a return on that investment. So what's the fucking point? Go and buy a black one. Everyone will think it's real anyway. And then go and invest that money and have the money working for you. You're never going to get anywhere while you're out spending stupid money. Invest. Put it into something as your working capital.
It's the most important lesson, I think, especially in the society we live in now. Where, you know,
bullshit.
Where there's not, you know.
I went through a phase, I did though, when I started making decent money from the speaking, and I bought a few Rolexes in the past, and I've ended up selling more. And I always remember one time I had one on, and everyone had one on, and everyone just blagged about mine was real, but to anyone else,
yours looked the worst.
And I was like,
everyone thinks it is anyway. You're like, how could you know?
And after I went through, like, and I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, at least we're awakened, aren't we?
Yeah, but I think it's also giving it back, so that, you know, women, men, or whoever it may be, they can skip that level. Do you know what I mean? They don't have to, like.
I'm a big believer of you don't have to learn from your own mistakes. You can learn from other people's mistakes.
Absolutely, that's why I'm so vocal, because it's like, don't be a knob like me. No, just cut that bit out and fast forward.
It's the money that you waste. You know, you wonder where your businesses could have went, or what businesses you could have opened, or whatever it may be.
Millions. Millions.
One thing that, and this obviously isn't wasted, I know when we were caught up last week, one thing that it is mad, considering when people are a bit spiteful and jealous and stuff, probably what people don't know is the money that, again, it's not wasted, but the money that you're losing over the years, and you have done by help with these centres, the Vitality ones and things like that. I mean, can you just touch on that? Because when you told me, I couldn't believe, like, the passion you had for it, but then to the fact that you're thinking, this is running at a loss here, but it's helping people, and I think that's what a lot of people, maybe when they see the echo comments in the room, is they just would not have you down for doing something what you do like that.
No, well, do you know what? I believed in it, and I know my 2 brothers have suffered from addiction as well. Obviously, my mum's, there's nothing she can do. We've tried to help them, and it's just a vicious cycle. So I don't really get, they were saying, you know, she gets thousands of pounds for this. No, I don't. I get more money renting them out, renting as a normal landlord. I pay for it. I have to pay extortionate amounts for the staff and everything else that goes with it, but I fully funded it all, and it runs at a loss today, and I put the money in for it because I believe in it. And the money, as I said before, the money that I would have probably wasted on shite clothes, that's just as shite as anything else anyway. It fucking comes away. I invested into people, into tomorrow's people, and, you know, giving people that hope. It's all about hope, isn't it? And saying, do you know what, I believe in you, and I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Do me proud. And I think that's the strongest thing we can do. Yeah, so it's cost me a right few quid doing these projects, but it's rewarding to me because it warms my heart. Like, there's just been a big story about one of the lads that was in the newspapers, and he was in a forest. He'd gone into the woods to kill himself, and he got a phone call saying there's a bed in Vitality Homes. He was not from Liverpool. He's got his own business. He's just moved out into his own place, and he's smashing life. And I think to myself, well, if I wouldn't have fought for that and I wouldn't have invested in that, that person might have been dead. Like, we've saved lives, and
amazing.
You can't put a price on that, is it?
No, and I think it's the belief that you say, you know, these people sometimes just need someone to say, like, I do actually care about your life and where you're going. It's like what you said when you give people a job on the doors years ago when they come out of criminality or whatever. For these people, it's not always like, you know, they don't want loads, they don't want like to be cured in a day. They just want someone to say, you can actually do it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you can come out of this and build whatever you want to build.
I mean, we've had a major success rate as well. We were running at like 80% success rate, and we've had like 200 people through as well through the programme, so it's good.
Brilliant.
With your career as well, Kate, when did is this something that you wanted or you fell into when it comes to like TV and stuff, and like, you know?
They've always approached me, do you know what I mean? From a young age, I've always been approached for telly programmes, and I've done quite a lot. And another thing, so I'd just done a programme, I can't fucking remember what one it was, but it was when the riots were on, remember them? And I was living in the Dorchester Hotel in London, and I was filming. I was working in this golf club in Kent, and it was about a woman going in, and a man's world it was called. It was about going in and turning businesses around that were struggling, and they fucking hated me, if you imagine. Golf club as well. I think some of it's on YouTube. And I met this agent, and I had an agent, and I got offered a job in LA presenting.
Really?
Yeah. And because of catering and everything else, I turned it down, never went. They'd love me. They'd said, right, we've got a job for it, do you want to sign up on a 24-month contract? And I never went, because you know what else? Well, I thought, I had the heritage at the time, and I thought, if I walk out now, no one else is going to give a shit about them traitors. And I never stayed, so yeah, I've lots of missed opportunities, and that's what I'd say to younger people. Don't miss an opportunity, don't say no to nothing, just go and see what it's like, feel it out. You can always make something work, do you know what I mean? Maybe I could have took Caitlin, well, of course I could have took Caitlin to live out there with me, and we would have had a different life, but do I regret it? No, because I'm where I am now, and I like my life.
You went into the school as well, didn't you? As like a pretending to be a teacher.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, it was an eye-opener. So I'd never been in a classroom since I got kicked out of school. So it was down in Sheffield. I had the 3 babies. Oh, by the way, I had 3 babies in 12 months. What other crank does that as well? So I had the babies. So I was filming down in Sheffield, and I still had all my businesses up here. So goes in, and it was just, it was sad really to see. Like, there's a teacher in there, and she's teaching 70 kids. No one's listening to her. She's just standing at the front, and to be on the other side at the table and looking at it from their perspective as well, you think, oh God, I was such a bitch. 1 minute I'm standing there, the next minute there's just like a fight in front of me. So all the teachers like running away. I'm like, move, get out, you little shit. Flagging them and that. And then, so I was there for a number of weeks, and I had to identify kids who weren't responding to the education system, and I was automatically drawn to people who reminded me of myself. Do you know what I mean? There was a girl, pretty girl, and she was getting on the wrong track, which I done. I was out at 14, 15, I was in the 051 and in the state and everything, do you know what I mean? And you get the knock at the state, and you go to the back of the queue and just swap clothes with your mates and go and queue up again.
It's not in the 05.
Yeah. So yeah, I could see them going down that road, and it was just nice to be able to go back and it was like going back to little me. Do you know what I mean? And they've both done really well. They've both got their own businesses.
Such a positive thing to do that, because what frustrates me the most, and I'm quite passionate about this school thing, but the people that fall through the cracks and they've got so much potential, do you know what I mean? And all they need is someone like you, and we just literally just spoke about it, but you or so anyone else, could be an author, could be a journalist, could be anyone, just to say, what about this? What about putting your energy to this?
But they don't, you see, that comes from the government, that because they work into curriculums and everything else, and they say, no, this is what you've got to teach. Some teachers are aware of this, but they cannot, their hands are tied. I, in that programme as well, I ended up giving the school money for the salary for more support as well, because you could just see they were totally understaffed. They couldn't cope, do you know what I mean? There were so many kids slipping through the cracks because they didn't have the resources to look after them.
I think that teachers get the backlash, don't they? You know, the parents go in and say, well, why are you doing this? And why? But they don't have any, most of the teachers, like who are just teaching subjects, don't have any control over what, they're just obviously doing their profession, but they don't have a control over what they get to teach. It's just, it's put to them, and then
there's the modules you've got to teach, and they've got to work at that. They can't deviate from it, because they'll probably get sacked.
The system hasn't changed in about, well, it's changed here and there, but the actual system hasn't changed in about 100 years or something.
A woman, a head teacher yesterday on This Morning, and she turned around and said, you have to teach your children when they come home from school. Well, no, I'm not doing that. I'm very sorry, I'm not my children's teachers. I've got no patience. I'm not clever. Even my 6-year-old's homework, I'm still like to Graham, what's that? Do you know what I mean?
I think every word and stuff that I something come on with, I'm like, how'd you do that again?
Oh God, go and ask your dad. I'm not doing that. My kids don't come home from school till late anyway. My kids go in at 8:10 and they finish at 4 o'clock, and then they've usually got something after school. I'm not a teacher. I'm not teaching my kids. That's what the government have given. Well, my kids go to a private school, but the government, we all pay our taxes for the education system for children. Fucking teach them.
It's broken, isn't it?
It's broken beyond repair.
What was your how was lockdown for you, being a businesswoman? You know, how have you coped? Obviously, I know the sanding is not ideal, having a pub in lockdown. I mean,
so I just invested loads into the hotel as well, so it made up like, oh God, I've got a hotel and everything, and then bump. And because one of my children's got ADHD, they still went to school as well. So I just opened head offices in the Q&R building, my diaries were absolutely full. I was all over the country working, and then boom, nothing. I had a breakdown. I couldn't get out of bed. Literally could not get out of bed. I had no motivation, and we just hit a bad bout of depression. So it was really, really, really hard to have nothing to do, to not be able to go out. It was just like, wow, my head fell off, rolled down the street, and then got used as a football. So it was bad.
I think for someone like you as well, obviously we've only met today, but you know, you're so, like, you're here, there and everywhere with your businesses and stuff. For you to then get put in your house on like house arrest, like we all were, that must have been very, very difficult for someone whose brain's always ticking on.
So I do suffer from depression anyway. I lost a baby in 2014, and it was her anniversary the other day. She would have been 8, and we had to go through the funeral and everything like that, and from that I had postnatal depression and was badly depressed. So even to this day I still take antidepressants every day. Like everyone goes, well, wouldn't you try something alternative? Or no, I won't, because they work for me. And I am terrified of having to go back to feeling like that. So now I don't stop taking them. I take them every night. I'm on 40 milligrams of fluoxetine, and they work for me. Do you know what I mean? I take propranolol for anxiety as well, because I get bad anxiety. But you can't show this to your staff or anyone else. You've always got to have it together, and you've always got to be, calm and, oh no, everything's fine, when really inside your fucking head's going.
Is that something to teach, like, the people you're going to mentor, in terms of, like, slowing down, and if you've got problems, you can still run businesses, but you can deal with, whether it be anxiety, depression, whether you've got anything going on. I think some people may be like, my business is everything, I've got to just be business, but you have to, like...
That's where the money focus comes in again. So if you're just driven by money and you've got to do this, your business, everything, no, it's not. Your business complements your life. So I make sure that I have family time with my kids. So I I do things like I do go back to the old school. I make a packed lunch and we go to Delamere Forest and we have a walk and we sit at the picnic basket table and we have our picnic, and that's quality time. Sitting kids in front of something with iPads is not quality time. So business isn't everything. You've got to take time out for yourself and your own mental health as well. So I go to like the meditation things, and I invest in myself too. You know, one thing I still do is I invest in me. I do, like, I listen to, right into all the universal laws and things like that. You've got to take pleasure as well. You can't just be work. These people who just sit and work, they haven't got a life. They end up like a robot.
Yeah, it's a very important lesson, isn't it? Because, you know, people can get caught up in this entrepreneur thing where it's like, you know, you see the stupid quotes, don't you? Work 25 hours a day or whatever. But I think it's an important lesson to teach younger people, or not younger people, people just wanting to have a business that, you know, there's more to life.
You've got to say, well, you know what, I'm dedicating that to that. And once that time's up, like I've been called arrogant in the past because I've gone in somewhere and said, okay, I've got 20 minutes. That's not. I'm putting a value on my time. That's the one commodity I can't buy. Do you know what I mean? That's valuable to me more than I'd rather give you a one and not have to listen to your bullshit. Do you know what I mean? So I'm quite protective of my time as well, where I'm like, well, you've got to put your cards on the table. You know, not everyone's going to like you. That's just a fact. There'll be loads of people out there who hate you or don't want you to do something. So what? They don't make a difference to my life. So be straight, be to the point. If you have got half an hour, I'll say to you, right, George, I've got half an hour. Do your best, and I'll have a time. I've done it where I've got a timer on my phone as well. Time is that precious. Value your time.
It's a good habit to have.
Yeah.
So it's from your story now, and you probably could tell us another 100 stories or things that have gone over the years. It's clear though that you have got a role for kind of bringing women together and empowering them with this Sisterhood HQ.
So this started as like an idea. I had to keep myself occupied in lockdown, and I'm not a person to clean my house or go and sort things out. I fucking hate anything like that. That's just not me. So yeah, I know being a boss is lonely as well. You know, you're sitting there, you've got your staff, and you can't really express what. And I want to bring ambitious women together. And I want to. Do you remember the men have had the Masons for so long? They all pass it all round to each other. We've got fuck all. So I want to create a community of ambitious women where we support each other, where we grow together, where we learn together, where we can put our cards on the table and say, do you know what, I feel shit today. So you can't do it in work. You're walking around all day like this, look. Bit of like smile. So you can go on the chat, or you can ring like your big sister up and say, do you know what, I'm having a terrible day, and we'll talk it through it. Yeah, it's having support, it's having a network, and it's about being together and being powerful and great.
Can any woman from any walk of life walk in?
Join, yeah, and men as well. You know, it's called Sisterhood HQ because that was the original thing. But you know, men can join. I've got quite a lot of lads who are wanting to get involved, and you don't have to be in business. You don't have to own a business. You can just have a normal job. You can just be ambitious. You can just want to change your life. You can just want to be around successful people and learn from them. So it's open to anyone. And it's been really, really good. Like the amount of interest we've had has been phenomenal. But just being saying to Andy before we went on air, I've got too much on my plate, so that's why I have decided to sell the sanding, and I'm turning it round a little bit. I'm going in a completely different direction now. I feel like I've done what I had to do with the sanding. I've got it to where I want it to be, and I've lost passion for it now. There's no challenge there for me, so it's now time to hand the reins over to someone else and say, run with it, kid. You know, you'll do brilliant. It's smashing it. It's still chocker.
I'm in there every week.
I know, you little pisshead. It is, and I believe in going out on the top. I don't want to hold on to something and go, no, it's mine, and I'm going to do it to the last minute. It's absolutely smashing it. Liverpool are smashing it. I like to go out on the top and say, there you go, kids. You've got a good opportunity. Carry on with it.
Brilliant. So if someone was, like, for example, a female was, as you say, male, but someone was listening about and wanted to get involved with this Sisterhood HQ, how does it work from, like, obviously approaching?
So it's a membership. It's £9.99 a month, which is the cost of a cup of coffee. That's what we wanted to keep it low. And that is, the membership is for, because we've got people in the office working for us, like content creators, we've got to pay rent and things like that. That's what it is. But what we'll be doing is as well, any events and everything that we do, we'll have a pot of money. So let's say we all put in. So any profit that we make, 50% of our gross profit goes into this pot. And let's say Andy comes along and he says, look, I want to start my own business and here's my business plan. Banks won't lend. No one will help you. Like, you can have this great idea, but you've got no money. How many people are going to get a fucking Dragon's Den? And then they want a percentage of your business. So I had this idea as well, that we put 50% of everything we earn in the pot, all of us. So we all buy from Sisterhood HQ, and people can apply then to start their own business. We're not angel investors, we don't take anything, but we'll mentor you and we'll give you the money to start your own business. And then we'll mentor you and help you. It's about saying to people, do you know what, you are kids, have a go. I'm not under any illusion that everyone's going to succeed, because that never happens. But you know, as long as you've tried, and as long as you've had a go, and as long as someone's backed you, then so be it. But let people have the opportunity to try. Stop making them jump through hoops like, can I have 40 pence please? No. So you'll be able to reply to us as Sisterhood HQ and say, look, I've got this idea. Don't get me wrong, if you turn up and you want to go out on a Saturday night, you can forget to fuck. But if you have got a good business idea, we will invest in you.
And will you obviously offer everything from, like, obviously mentorship and just, like, is there people around who can help with all aspects?
Yeah, so we've got Big Sisters, this is what it's called. So it's like leading businesswomen in different industries, and they will have their own group. So you'll have mentors, peers, masterclasses, things like that. So we've got like lawyers who are involved, who are like barristers and everything else. So we've got people in HR, because if you're a girl and you know you're good at cutting hair, but you're not good at business, and then all of a sudden your business starts growing, you've got to employ people, you're not going to know about health and safety and doing this and doing this. So we're going to have all downloadable stuff and be helping people with that side of it as well. So the creative people can go and do what they do best, be creative, and leave all the boring shit to us.
Do you know what I think you've nailed is the fear aspect that we spoke about earlier. I think a lot of people have ideas, but they have the fear of, well, what happens if I grow? How do I manage money? What happens if I have to, like, what happens with taxes? What happens with, you know, what's a self-assessment? Stuff like that. I think you're eliminating the fear that most people will sit on the couch with and go, right, this idea, but nah, fuck that, because, you know, what if this or what if that, where, you know, they can go to your business and be like, well, ask questions.
You're so relatable as well. Like, so many Scouse girls will just like relate to, you know, having that entrepreneurial attitude where it's like, oh, I don't want to have a go, and they're already probably out there now having a go and stuff. And I think with social media it's easy. It's not easy, but it's become a bit more accessible to start up little businesses on the likes of Instagram and stuff.
The Instagram has got so many good things and it's got so many bad things, so I can put a filter on and I can sit here and relate. And then, but behind me, my kids are knocking fuck out of each other, and my house is like a shit tip. You don't see behind that facade, do you? So I think I'm dead honest on Instagram as well. Like, my kids are bastards. There's no getting away from it. So we've just been away. Me and Graham took them to Cape Verde for 2 weeks, and they got barred from Kids Club. But not just barred. The woman actually said they are barred for life. And when I asked her to elaborate on it, she said that means that if you come back to this hotel in the future, your children can still not come to Kids Club. I was like, why? What's he done? And she went, well, he pulled his pants down and he told me to kiss his ass. I was like, oh, God, he just looks at me as if like, I'm like, oh, okay then, come along children. The woman, when we goes back into Kids Club, and this is one of my kids' lads, she's sitting with her head on the hands, my kids are sitting against the wall like that. Like, it was empty, all the other kids have got off because they're that naughty. I was like, oh, okay, come on children, like getting me ducklings out. I was like, oh God, I can't cope.
But some Instagram though would make you feel like Cape Verde, oh wow, Kate's smashing a perfect family life, and actually like you say,
no, it's absolutely not. So I am dead honest on Instagram. Like, I show my kids being bastards. I'm like, oh, here's the bastards again, and here's what he's doing now, and everyone loves it because, you know, there's so many women who contact me on there and say, you know what, and you're making me feel better.
It's refreshing to see.
At me kids and think I'm not the only one, because everyone wants you to see their kids are perfect and they're in white and the house is lovely. It's like, oh fuck off, your fella's probably out shagging his nan or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just all bullshit. Yeah. We all have bad days. Yeah. We all go through struggles. We all have arguments. Do you know what I mean? Like, me and Graham, I'll sometimes not speak for a week. I'll just ignore him and everything. Like, that's life. You know, our kids are naughty. I have days where I can't be asked. I'm not fully, right, up at 6 o'clock, do my yoga, fully motivated. Some days I think, oh fuck it, I can't be asked. And do you know what? That's okay. Do you know what I'll do? Tatty biting me kids to school. I go and get my pyjamas on, get a big load of shite, and I'll sit in bed and I'll read my books. And that's okay to do that. It's okay to say, do you know what, I need a day off. Because at owning your own business, it's very rare you do get a day off. But it's important to cut a day out of your diary and say, well, if I feel like something, then I'm fucking doing it. That's where I've earned that by all the work I've done, if I've got the choice to do that, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not fully motivated, like, oh yes, let's go. Some days I just can't be asked.
No, should you be? I think I think it's important. You know, everyone needs a reset button, don't they?
Yeah,
everyone.
and that's what is relatable to everyone. What is then with Sisterhood? I mean, I know that's a big passion. What is the future looking like for Kate?
I don't fucking know. I don't know what I'm doing. I just wing it, to be honest. I am open to the universe. I know I'll be guided to where I need to be. So I am just about, well, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm trying to sell the sands and get out of that. And I'm just changing direction completely into going into something new and focusing on things that make me happy and I enjoy doing. I said when I started my career, I am never going to go to a job that I don't like. After that fucking sweet factory, I was just like, nah, I'm not doing that again. I'm not ever going to do that. So when I stop enjoying something, I go, okay, right, it's time for something new, and I'll try anything. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, it could be literally, and I think this as well, you know, we stack our abilities, so we don't have to be 100% great at something. We can have loads of different bits that we're good at, and we can combine them, and we can apply it to so many different businesses as well. So who knows? I will go where it takes me, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was what I was going to say. Does it still excite you? Obviously, you've owned, I think we had the heritage, and then obviously
I've done pubs, I've done quite a bit.
But even now, you still excited? You still get that excitement feeling?
Absolutely, yeah. I love nothing better than I can't wait to get to do something. Do you know what I mean? That excitement is what drives me. It's not the money, it's that buzz in my belly of like, and seeing things coming to fruition as well. And like seeing Bernie welcome them guests in at that LFC where she didn't have a bit of confidence. They are my goals. They're my.
I think you're going to get that with Sisterhood as well, with people bringing people together and seeing people develop and progress, and you know that is exactly what it's about, isn't it? So
absolutely. I mean, sometimes I'll get like a message off someone from Vitality, one of the residents or the service users, and you read it and I start crying and and you just say, you know, they're saying like, thank you for giving me a chance, and thank you for, like, these people have had no relationships with the family, and we're very, very active on bringing families back together as well, because addiction destroys families, and you know, people lose contact with each other. So yeah, it's just nice. It's nice to make a difference, and to be able to say, you know what, I'm only a scally from Lacher. I had fuck all, and I could, you know what, I could go back to having fuck all again. Do you know what I mean? And that's another great ability. Don't get me wrong as well. Do you know, through my journey, I've lost it all. I've gone back to having no fucking money again, and I've had to build myself back up. But it's the thing of getting back up, dusting yourself off, and going, oh, fuck it, come on, let's get back out there and do it again. Because if you can knock your confidence where you go, oh no, I'm not doing that again. It's like, no, get up, dust yourself off, and get back out there and do it again. And do it again and do it again. And I'm in charge of my fall. I always fucking fall and full of bruises, but I always get back up. Do you know what I mean? I
think that's the one big strength that you've got with Sisterhood, because you know you live in proof really of what these people want to do, and they're like, you know, they'll like fail. They might fail in a business that they bring to you, but you live in proof. Look, I've failed as well. There's no problem. Yeah, let's just go again.
Absolutely.
I think you're the realist, Kate. You've smashed it. You're real. I just love the honesty, and I think you're a great role model. I think not just women as well, men as well, who can see someone like you say, who grew up with fuck all. I've had it, lost it, and still having a go. I think that's probably the best thing that you brought to today. So it's a belter. Anything else you want to finish on?
No, I'm all happy.
Loved it. Loved the energy.
Boss.
Obviously, keep empowering people. That's the main goal there. The main message. I think it's been brilliant.
Well, thanks for having me.
Nice one, Kate. Cheers.
Thank you.